From the moment you hear the name Skytrans, you might assume it's just another small regional airline quietly operating in the background. But the reality is far more compelling, because Skytrans represents a critical lifeline in Australia's vast and unforgiving aviation landscape. An airline born not from luxury or global ambition but from necessity, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to connecting some of the most remote communities on Earth. And this story begins in a country where distance defines everything, where cities are separated by thousands of kilometers of desert, rainforest, and coastline, and where aviation is not a convenience, but a necessity for survival, development, and connection. Skytrans was established in 1990 in Cairns, Queensland, a region that sits at the edge of Australia's tropical north. And from its earliest days, the airline focused on charter and regional services, filling a gap left by larger carriers that simply could not operate efficiently in remote and rugged environments. Using aircraft capable of short takeoffs, rough runways, and high-frequency operations, Skytrans gradually built a reputation not through flashy marketing or massive fleets, but through reliability, adaptability, and trust, serving mining operations, government contracts, indigenous communities, tourism routes, and medical evacuations, quietly becoming an essential part of Northern Australia's aviation ecosystem. What makes Skytrans unique is not just where it flies, but why it flies. Because many of its routes are the only practical way for people to access healthcare, education, employment, and essential supplies. And in regions where roads are unreliable or non-existent, Skytrans aircraft are often the only consistent link to the outside world. Turning pilots and crew into more than airline staff, they become connectors of communities and guardians of continuity. Over the years, the airline expanded its operations while remaining focused on turboprop aircraft, well-suited to regional conditions, including the Dash 8 series. Aircraft known for their ruggedness, fuel efficiency, and ability to operate from short and challenging airstrips. And rather than chasing rapid expansion, Skytrans prioritized operational excellence, safety, and long-term contracts, a strategy that allowed it to survive in an industry where many small airlines fail within a decade. As Australia's aviation market evolved, Skytrans adapted, transitioning from purely charter operations into scheduled regional services, particularly within Queensland, while continuing to support fly-out operations for mining and infrastructure projects, an area where precision scheduling, operational discipline, and reliability are absolutely critical. The airline's growth reached a major milestone when it became part of a larger aviation group, gaining access to stronger financial backing, broader operational expertise, and fleet modernization opportunities. Yet even with this shift, Skytrans retained its identity as a regional specialist rather than a mass-market airline, proving that success in aviation does not always mean becoming bigger, but becoming better at what you do best. Operationally, Skytrans functions on a model that emphasizes flexibility, with crews trained for challenging weather conditions, remote navigation, and rapid turnaround times. And this operational culture has allowed the airline to maintain high dispatch reliability even in regions prone to cyclones, extreme heat, and sudden weather changes, conditions that would ground less experienced operators. Beyond operations, Skytrans plays a subtle but powerful economic role, supporting tourism in far north Queensland by connecting regional towns to major hubs, enabling ecotourism, reef access, and regional travel that would otherwise be impractical, while also supporting government and emergency services during natural disasters. When aircraft are needed to transport supplies, evacuate residents, or reconnect isolated communities, moments when aviation becomes not just a business but a public service. From a passenger perspective, Skytrans offers an experience that is fundamentally different from major airlines, where flights feel personal, crews recognize frequent travelers, and the focus is on efficiency rather than excess, reminding us that aviation, at its core, is about movement, access, and connection, not just entertainment screens and premium cabins. Financially and strategically, Skytrans has survived by understanding its niche, avoiding overextension, and aligning itself with long-term regional demand rather than volatile international markets. A lesson that many airlines learned too late, and its continued operation is proof that regional aviation, when managed with discipline and purpose, can be both sustainable and indispensable. Today, Skytrans stands as a symbol of how aviation adapts to geography, how airlines evolve to serve people rather than markets, and how success can be measured not only in fleet size or global reach, but in reliability, trust, and impact. Because every Skytrans flight represents more than a route. It represents a connection between people, opportunities, and essential services across one of the most challenging operating environments in the world. And as the global aviation industry chases scale, speed, and spectacle, Skytrans quietly reminds us of aviation's original mission: to shrink distances, serve communities, and keep the world connected, even in the most remote corners of the sky. And that is why Skytrans is not just a regional airline, but a vital thread in Australia's aviation fabric, proving that sometimes the most powerful stories in aviation are not written at 40,000 feet over major capitals, but at lower altitudes, over remote landscapes, where every flight truly matters. And as long as there are communities separated by distance and demand for reliable regional air travel, Skytrans will continue to rise, not as the biggest name in aviation, but as one of the most meaningful